Hello, my friend. I'm going to make a quick video about procrastination, certain tools that I've used over the years that are very effective. I have ADD, procrastination and learning how to overcome is a big part of it. So I've used all these tools. They are very effective. They are working. I think this is something that every person has experienced in the past. So I think everybody will benefit from it. For some people it might be, well, these are simple tools, but usually when it's simple, it works. So just stick with me. So first thing first, when you realize you've procrastinate, get an overview. When I realize that I'm pushing something back, I sit down and I take out a sheet of paper and I write down what are the aspects that I have to work on. An overview creates clarity for your brain. It creates structure for your brain. Another aspect is you have it in front of you. You don't have to process everything in the head. Having it on paper makes a huge difference. Additional, when you write something down on a sheet of paper, something really cool happens. There's an area in our brain. It's called RAS, reticular activating system. It's the area that it's lit when you actually, it's responsible for our focus. So when you write things down, it helps us to not only memorize things, but also to focus and increase the awareness. Now, when you write things down, the second step is creating priorities. What's the most important thing? What do you have to check off right away? Usually just choose the 3 tasks that have to be done that day. If you focus on more aspects, then your focus will decrease. Then if it's a bigger aspect that you have to work on, you want to write down strategies. How am I going to implement? How am I going to break it down? How do I chunk it? If you have ADD, very often when you do these things, even with the first step, break things down into the smallest chunks possible. So if I ask you how likely is it for you to implement this, 10 very unlikely, 1 very likely, it should be the 1 or 2. So if it's unlikely or not that likely, then you have to chunk it down further. So an example, if you decide I want to read every day 20 pages, then instead of doing 20 pages, you have to lower it. Say I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 pages. Or if you say I want to implement an exercise regimen, just say, okay, I just start with 1 push-up or 1 squat. It sounds ridiculous, but what happens is you will tell yourself, well, I can do 1 push-up. Once you're doing the push-up, when you read 1 page, you most likely will read the second or third page, maybe 5, maybe 10 pages. The key is just to start it and to create that energy. So with ADD, what I always explain is it's like creating a fire. Initially, it's very difficult to start the fire, but once it's going, it's easy to maintain the heat. It's easy to maintain the fire. You just have to throw wood on it. Okay, so priorities are there. We have the overview, strategies. The next one, what you see very often in business books, is called Eat the Frog. So meaning the most important or the biggest chunk, you want to attack it right away. With ADHD or ADD, this is very often counterintuitive. So very often, like I said, you want to start with a small one, or you want to start even with a different task. So it could be also just to get you into action, meaning sometimes when I procrastinate and I have tasks to do, I just know that it's easier for me to just walk around the block one time or go for a run first. Once I'm in the movement, I'm exercising, my blood flow, blood flow to the brain increases, but you're also already in action mode and it will help you. It's way easier to stay in the progress. Once you make steps forward, acknowledge every single progress. Don't put it down like, well, I just read 5 pages or 1 page. No, it's a good thing. I am moving forward. I'm creating new habits. I'm accelerating my progress. I'm going where I want to go. Then there's from Mel Robbins, a really good book. It's called the 5-second rule. I made the 3-second rule out of it. So it's basically when you think about doing a task, you just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I just do 3, 2, 1 and go right into action. So when you do that, you distract your brain to come up with reasons why you shouldn't be doing something, why you should procrastinate. So this actually sounds very simple, but it does work. So next time, just start in your mind. You think about something, oh, I have to do X, Y, Z. Then you go 3, 2, 1, and you just go into action. You just knock it off. Another thing that helps me creating the dopamine within the tasks, meaning I understand how the brain works. Every time we choose to procrastinate, we're strengthening procrastination. So every time we think something, every time we execute something, and every time we move or we do a task, neurons fire together in our brain. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The more often we repeat a task, an activity, the stronger those neural pathways get. So meaning if you decide I'm not doing it, that will get stronger. If you decide I'm doing it, that will get stronger. So if you're staying in action mode, you're gonna strengthen those neural pathways. That will become more of a habit. It will become easier and easier. Now, knowing that alone and reminding yourself in that situation will create, at least it does for me, dopamine within that action. So meaning I'm thinking like if I realize, oh, I'm procrastinating, it's like, okay, what do I want? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be successful or do I want to be a procrastinator? That alone gives me energy to do the right thing. And then the last one, it is a little more complex. The more you do coaching, the more you self-reflect, the easier this process will be, that you can actually elicit underlying belief systems or assumptions that are holding you back to do something. Once you realize that, so I think sometimes it's helpful to use a coach to do these, to elicit those things when you start out. But like I said, the more often you do it, the better you get. Always have a sheet of paper with you and then self-reflect. A good way of elicit those underlying limiting beliefs is, just one example is, what am I afraid of? What do I believe the outcome will create or will not create? So going to both sides to see what thoughts are coming up, and then with those thoughts seeing, okay, if this happens, what can I do to avoid it? Or how can I improve the situation? And by writing that down, you help your subconscious mind to smooth out these little bumps. And in general, I think it always makes sense to write all of these things down, because it does create way more clarity, and it helps to eliminate a lot of issues. I hope you like this video. If so, give me thumbs up, and I will post more of the tools I've been using over the years. And I will see you soon.